Welcome, panelists. Welcome, and thanks for participating today. Wanted to start with just a couple of things, just a few housekeeping items as we start our talk today. Oh, that's welcome reps. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. Welcome. Thanks, everyone, to the College Admission Collaborative highlighting engineering and technology college fair. Excited to have you participating in this event. We have some fantastic schools here today. My name is Greg. I'll be your facilitator. Before we get started, a couple of just brief housekeeping items. As a reminder, your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type questions to your presenters at any time. This is just one of many different sessions happening. Make sure you check out the schedule on the website. This presentation is being recorded. I'll drop the website in the chat so you can go back if you missed something and want to go back and review it. And that'll be available at strivescan.com/CACHET. And again, I'll put that in the chat. I'd now like to turn it over to our first presenter. Alex, take it away.
Thanks so much, Greg. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Studying STEM in Upstate New York. My name is Alex. I am joined by 4 other schools, so a total of 5 schools on this panel today to talk about opportunities to pursue STEM in Upstate New York and at various schools across the state. Now, I'm joined by a number of people. We're going to take about 6 minutes each to talk a little bit about our schools, and there will be time at the end for questions. So if you have any questions as we go through this presentation, you can put them in the chat, but we can also answer questions at the end. Next slide, please. Now, there is a lot of land to New York, far beyond New York City, and as representatives of upstate New York colleges, but also as people who love upstate New York, we really want to share that with you. That's the point of this presentation today. All parts of New York definitely have their own feel, but some commonalities across the state include close-knit communities, a great mix of urban, suburban, and rural areas, local economies that cater to college students and young professionals, booming industries in science, technology, and areas that we educate for, and also, of course, fantastic access to nature. Something that all of our students appreciate, if we could go to the next slide, especially if they are from out of state, is that our campuses are all located near airports and even train stations. So flights to the cities nearest all of our colleges all connect easily through major hubs, which means ultimately it's really easy to get to our campuses. All of our campuses are also, as one student commented to me, in the middle of everywhere. They're all accessible within a day's drive to larger places like New York City, Boston, Toronto, Montreal, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, DC, the list goes on. And like I said before, upstate New York also offers 4-season climate with really great warm summertime, fantastic fall foliage, which we're just at the edge of right now, wonderland winters. They are cold, but you can do it. And of course, a gorgeous springtime bloom season. Experiencing all 4 seasons on our campuses and in places like our awesome state parks is really something that students value, even if it does mean putting on snow boots and a winter coat every once in a while. There are a ton of things that make upstate New York unique and special, and so many things that make our campuses unique and special as well. So I'd like to turn the mic over to Mark at RIT so he can start sharing a little bit about his school.
Thank you so much, Alex. So RIT is the westernmost school that you'll hear from today. We're about an hour east of Buffalo, about 20 minutes south of Lake Ontario, and we're on the western edge of the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. RIT is one of the largest private universities in the US with over 14,000 undergraduate students and over 16,000 total students. RIT was founded way back in 1829, so we're nearing our 200th anniversary, which will be pretty exciting in a few years. And the campus itself, you can see a picture of it there, is very modern in terms of the building style, and it's a very suburban oriented campus, self-contained, a 1,300-acre campus. We're about a 10-minute drive south of downtown Rochester, and we're very close to the New York State Thruway. We have tons of housing on campus, so it is a very residential university. And in terms of our academic programs, it's very comprehensive. We have a lot of students studying computing, engineering, a lot of students studying visual arts, including art, design, photography, and film. We're one of the few universities to have engineering and engineering technology on the same campus. And then we also have many programs within the life sciences, physical sciences, mathematical sciences, and imaging science, the health sciences, and sustainability-based programs. We also have programs in social sciences and humanities, and one of our 9 colleges is the National Technical Institute for the Deaf. So we have close to 1,000 deaf and hard of hearing students on our campus. In addition to the Rochester campus, we also have 2 campuses in Croatia, 2 in China, 1 in Kosovo, and 1 in the United Arab Emirates. And to give you a sense of our average class size, it's 22, and the student to faculty ratio is just 13:1. Next slide. So each of us are going to be featuring some academic oriented information and then some outside of the classroom information as well. So my academic spotlight is going to delve a little bit deep into some of our unique majors. There are a lot of programs at RIT that aren't offered at many of their schools and that could be considered very multidisciplinary in nature. So I've picked 5 from 5 different colleges at RIT, and I'll start on the top left with motion picture science. So RIT, as I mentioned before, does have a film school, but as part of that film school, there is a Bachelor of Science degree, which is more focused on post-production, editing, special effects, color science, sound, all those back-end aspects of film production. So we also have a BFA, which focuses more on the directing and cinematography and those types of things, and animated film production as well. But this one really is focusing on a lot of STEM-oriented skill sets that are needed to successfully produce the films and television productions that we see today. So that's a very unique program. We also have New Media Interactive Development, which is in our College of Computing and Information Sciences. And this is really pushing the boundaries of new technologies and how they perhaps interact with the body. Like if you think of like a smartwatch technology, things that provide biofeedback to you, wearable technologies. So all the cutting edge aspects that are related to that would have some type of coding element to it. In our College of Science, we have an imaging science program that we offer through the PhD level. And imaging science is like imaging engineering. So if you think about any type of device that captures an image, all the science, math, computing, and engineering that goes into that. So it could be something as simple as the camera on your phone, or the camera on your doorbell, or the backup camera for your car, but it could also be satellite imagery as well, or drone technology and drone imagery. So there are so many applications of sophisticated imagery, infrared imagery, for example, or really high-tech security cameras that you might see in an airport. So that's a very unique program. Within our College of Engineering, we have a microelectronic engineering program, and this is a nanotechnology-based program. So generating the next set of microscopic computer chips that we use in all sorts of devices, appliances, our phones. We need them to be consistently more smaller as time goes by and also more efficient and more powerful. So you can see our mascot there, Richie, wearing a white suit, because that needs to be a dust-free facility when you're working in that program. That's also offered through the PhD level. And then finally, in our College of Engineering Technology, we have a packaging science program, which is super cool because you can apply packaging to so many industries, and you can also specialize in so many areas. You can focus on the sustainability aspect, you can focus on the business and marketing aspect, you can focus on the graphic and the printing and the labeling aspect. You can see there pictured a tractor trailer simulator where they can actually simulate a cross-country trip in a matter of hours to see how vibrations, for example, might affect a product. Does it break? Does it leak? Can it be transported successfully despite those bumps in the road? We also have drop technologies to see how things will hold up. But as you can imagine, packaging is a multi-billion-dollar industry and is super important, especially in today's world when we're reliant on so many supply chains to successfully deliver goods and items to our homes in many cases now, as well as to stores. Next slide. So my Out of the Classroom Spotlight is going to focus on the cooperative education program. And while many universities have co-op at their schools, it really is an integrated part of the culture at RIT. We're one of the 4 largest co-op universities in the US, and we've been doing it for over 100 years. So most majors at RIT require co-op in order to graduate. And that doesn't come at any additional cost to you. When you're on co-op, you're not paying any tuition. You're actually making money. So it can help pay for your later years of school, and you're working full-time for a company and not taking any classes during that time. We have employer partners numbering over 3,000 in the US and overseas as well. And we have a huge career services team that helps support you through every stage of the co-op search process to help you find a co-op opportunity that's going to be a good match for your interests. Now, one of the greatest things about co-op is it helps either validate those interests, or you're like, no, this isn't quite for me. I want to try out something else for my next co-op, or shift directions within my field. It's better to have those learning experiences earlier rather than later. So that's a big part of an RIT education. And you can learn more at joboutlook.rit.edu. If you drill down into that website, you can actually see by major, the companies that we work with most often for that major, as well as starting salary information, job titles, and lots of other career-rich information. So I'll post some information in the chat, but I want to thank you for attending today, and hopefully that'll give you a quick look at RIT, and there are many opportunities to learn more in the coming weeks through our open house programs. And now we're going to go east on the New York State Thruway and hear from my colleague Jonathan at Syracuse.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Hoster, and I represent Syracuse University, which is located right in the geographic center of New York State. We have about 15,000 undergraduate students total, about 200 majors, and around 25 of those majors are STEM-oriented majors, and most of those are in the College of Engineering and Computer Science and the College of Arts and Sciences. We have a number of really cool study abroad opportunities across the globe, and there's no exception for STEM majors. They can take advantage of that in many places. This is actually not a study abroad photo. I thought this was somewhere where Bethany was abroad, but that is actually in Death Valley, California. She just corrected me. But she graduated last year with her bachelor's in environmental engineering. You can see she was also an Army ROTC cadet. She's currently studying abroad in Scotland for her master's degree. And when she finishes that, she'll be an officer back here in the US in the Army. We put a big emphasis onto advising student success, supporting, encouraging, celebrating our students' success. So for instance, in the Engineering and Computer Science College, you would have 3 advisors right away from the beginning who would support and celebrate and encourage your success. That includes a career advisor who works with students on their resume and applications for internships, co-ops, jobs, the search process, getting connected with companies for opportunities, career fairs, and other events to connect with company representatives, and also to connect with alumni. We have a lot of school spirit here, and our alumni love staying connected to the school, and we have a mentoring program where we can connect our students directly to alumni to be mentors. There are about 20 or so STEM-related clubs and organizations. A number of those are clubs that build cool stuff. They design and build race cars, off-road cars, drones, rockets, robots. If you have experience doing that kind of thing from high school, that's great, but you don't have to. If you're just willing to put in the time to learn, the upperclassmen will take you under their wing and teach you some cool stuff and get involved with clubs like that. Really, in terms of clubs, I think it's a good idea to get involved with a couple things, maybe 1 or 2 things related to your major, but then also do other things outside your major. If you're into performing arts or sports or community service, student government, a religious organization, I think it's good to have that balance. A lot of our students love the STEM living learning communities. This is mostly a freshman year thing where you can live with other students who are STEM majors or other students who are specifically engineering and computer science freshmen. Makes it easy to do homework together and study together, and really helpful to get off to a good start academically. There are some double major combinations. So for instance, I have some students that'll do like aerospace engineering and physics, or computer science and math. That's not too common in engineering because engineering keeps people pretty busy. But in some other STEM fields like biology and math, or physics and math, you could do things like that. You could do physics and political science, or economics and chemistry. There's some really cool combinations available. And then there's some bachelor's master's options too. So for instance, we have some students who do a bachelor's plus master's in biomedical engineering or bachelor's plus master's in civil engineering, for instance. So moving on, one of the things I really wanted to highlight tonight is undergraduate research opportunities. So Syracuse University is what's known as a Research 1 or an R1 university. And there's a lot of cutting edge research happening here and a lot of funding for research. And we have a number of undergraduates who get really seriously involved in research. And sometimes they end up presenting their research at national conferences and publishing papers about their research. And sometimes that propels them into graduate school because they love doing research. So a couple great examples here. Alex on the left is a current senior. He works in what's called the Comer Lab, which stands for Combustion and Energy Research. And they do a lot of work with hybrid power system. That's his particular research. They do a lot of work with solid oxide fuel cells. And his application of that is using those fuel cells as a hybrid power system for drones. Last year, Alex was named a SMART Scholar through the Department of Defense and a Goldwater Scholar, which is one of the top honors that a STEM student nationally can earn. Natalie in the top middle, she is doing that 4+1 program. So she graduated her bachelor's from Syracuse in May, and now she's a graduate student doing one more year to get her master's, both in biomedical engineering, which we also call bioengineering. She particularly studies shape memory polymers here in what we call the Bio-Inspired Institute. And the application that she works on for those is a shape memory polymer foam that can be used as a hemostat for blood clotting, like for serious injuries. So a shape memory polymer is one that'll change shape based on a certain trigger. That trigger could be heat, but it could be something else. And then when you remove the trigger, it goes back to its original shape. And so the particular application in her lab is for blood clotting. Emily, who's in the bottom middle, she's also doing the 4+1 program in mechanical engineering. So she finished her bachelor's in mechanical in May of this year. Now she's doing one more year now as a graduate student to finish her master's. She's worked in two particular labs as a student here, one in cyber manufacturing, sort of like cybersecurity combined with manufacturing, because there's criminal activity that would like to attack manufacturing systems, which would really be an economic blow. And so preventing against that is an area called cyber manufacturing. And more recently, she's worked in a supersonic jet engine lab studying turbulence around supersonic jet engines. And then Ricky graduated in May with his bachelor's in computer engineering. He's actually now a PhD student at Cornell. And he worked in two particular labs here, one in systems assurance, which is an area, a really important area within cybersecurity, and then also in data science. And he built a system to detect fake news in social media. One last thing I wanted to highlight is this really cool program we call Invent at SU. It's an invention accelerator. It takes place during the summer. For 6 weeks, student teams design, prototype, and pitch original inventions. It's really impressive the things they come up with in this program. The top team this year got $7,500. Pictured here is Russell. He graduated with his mechanical engineering bachelor's and then did his master's in biomedical engineering. When he was in this program, he and his business partner created what's called the SugX, which is what he's holding there. It's a wearable device or a smartwatch that monitors glucose levels for people with diabetes. The winning team from this program this summer created that other device you see there in blue and gray. They call it Sweatration. It's a wearable device that monitors for dehydration. The Blackstone Launchpad, which is referenced here, is the hub for student entrepreneurship at Syracuse University and connects student entrepreneurs with places they can go to pitch these inventions, as well as the legal advice they need for patenting and for and starting a business. So encourage you to check out our virtual events page listed there. It's going to be updated soon with lots of opportunities, including sample classes we're doing this fall. And my information I'll drop in the chat as well. At this point, I'm going to turn the microphone over to my colleague, Christopher, who is north of here in Potsdam at Clarkson. So Chris, take it away.
Hello, everyone. As Jonathan said, my name is Chris. I'm the representative from Clarkson University, and we are, in fact, 2 hours about as straight north as we can get from Syracuse University. So we are located in Potsdam, New York, founded in 1896. We have about 3,200 undergraduate students in our Potsdam campus, as well as 1,100 graduate level students. We also have a graduate campus located in Albany as well. At Clarkson, we have about 30 plus majors ranging across a few different schools, School of Arts and Sciences, our School of Business, School of Engineering. We also have pre-professional programs, minors and concentrations available as well. We have 5 tracks for incoming students. One of the big things that we focus on at Clarkson is our professional development of our students. We have one of the highest placement rates at 98%. Internships, co-ops, and research opportunities are required for our students in order to graduate from Clarkson. We also have the Associated Colleges Partnership, which makes us a unique university. While we're a smaller school with 3,200 undergraduate students, there are 4 colleges in the area: St. Lawrence, SUNY Potsdam, and SUNY Canton, and we all kind of operate in collaboration with one another. So we're able to plan large events, able to get large people to come out for concerts. So in the area total, there's about 16,000 undergraduate students. There are 50 plus study abroad options and 200 plus clubs and organizations. And if you could go on to the next slide, please. Academic Spotlight at CU. So the big thing for us, one of the biggest things, one of the schools that we have is our Institute for a Sustainable Environment. It's a division on campus with a focus on integrating sustainability into curriculum and campus life. And it's a very important aspect of our campus based on where we're located. So as you can see behind me, there's a lot of foliage and greenage around us. That's because we're about an hour away from the Adirondack Park. So there are 3 majors in our Institute for a Sustainable Environment with 9 areas of study. It's a problem-based learning model, and they're very interdisciplinary office. Engineers working on new efficient technology, policy experts working with regulations and public policies, and scientists working on climate impacts and atmospheric chemistry. There are many opportunities for our students for environmental related research on campus as well, because of where we're located again, including the Smart Dorm Project and the campus greenhouse and the anaerobic digest that are all available on our campus. Some of the things to spotlight on the off-campus experiences are our Adirondack semester. So there's opportunity for students to actually study in the Adirondack Park, working with actual researchers for a semester, the Devil's Thumb Ranch, and learning and service trips as well. If you could move on to the next slide, please. So some of the things about CU outside of the classroom, the Shipley Center for Innovation, also known as our CUE. The Shipley Center offers services to all Clarkson students, as well as faculty and staff, alumni, and members of the local community. They provide services that help with business formation, provisional patents, marketing, investor connections, and ignition grants. The center's most recent addition is the CUE program, which is a startup accelerator specifically for Clarkson students. There are 3 pitch events held each year for the CUE, 2 in the fall and 1 in the spring, which give the students the opportunity to become members of the accelerator. Clarkson Ignite is another cool thing that we do on campus. It's the department who works with students, faculty, and staff to integrate the entrepreneurial mindset and innovation skill throughout the university. We encourage users to explore, create, and achieve what's next. Using the 5 key elements: curriculum, extracurricular activity, research, making, business incubation. Clarkson Ignite educates students so that the graduates can connect across disciplines to create extraordinary economic and societal value. They offer workshops, speaker series, masterclass series, and events to teach and strengthen skill sets. We also support resources such as the Dorf Makerspace, the Studio, Digital Making Suites, and the Shipley Center for Innovation. All of these resources are here to help students explore, create, and achieve in the 5 key elements that I listed previously. And I believe that that is all that I have. So I will drop some information for me in the chat, and I will pass it off to my colleague from Union University or Union College. Thank you.
Hi, Christopher. Thank you. So Union College is the smallest school that you'll be hearing about today. We have 2,200 undergraduate students, and we are just an undergraduate school. So the focus is on you. We were founded in 1795, so we are in our 3rd century at Union, and we are located in Schenectady, New York, which is one of the cities that make up the Capital District. Schenectady is a small city, about 67,000 people, and our campus is about a 10-minute walk into downtown Schenectady. One of the things that really is important and distinctive about Union is the integration of academic programs that we offer. As we are a liberal arts college, but about 50% of our students are majoring in a STEM field, a math, science, or engineering. We are one of the few liberal arts colleges across the country that offer ABET accredited engineering programs, and the disciplines we offer are mechanical, electrical, computer, and biomedical. We also offer an accelerated BS-MD program with Albany Medical College. One of the things, though, I really want to highlight is the interdisciplinary nature of our academic program. So about 80% of our students are going to pursue more than one academic discipline. This is the type of institution where you could be majoring in engineering, but also minoring in something in the humanities or the social sciences, or combining your interest in a science like biochemistry or neuroscience, but also being involved with the theater or music departments. We are excited that we just opened a new $100 million integrated science and engineering complex. And at the same time, we announced a $51 million gift from Rich Templeton and his wife, both union grads. Rich is the CEO of Texas Instruments, and they funded and created the Templeton Institute for Engineering and Computer Science with very new programs and innovative programs coming down the pike as soon as we hire a director for that new institute. You could go to the next slide, please. Can you go to, yeah, thank you. Okay, so a couple other things that are important to understand about Union. We are a small school and our classes are small. Our student faculty ratio is just 9-to-1. Introductory classes average about 21 students and upper level classes average 14 students. As you can imagine, students are making great connections with the other students in their classes, but also with the professors. And that's one of the things that I think is really distinctive, that faculty mentorship that all students receive. All of our classes are taught by professors. As I mentioned, we do not have any graduate students, so we therefore do not have any graduate assistants or teaching assistants. So every class that you take, whether it be a lecture, a seminar, a recitation, or a lab, is taught by the professor. So you're having the opportunity connect with faculty on all different levels. All of our faculty are also, besides teaching, conducting research. And 3/4 of our students will do undergraduate research at some point during their 4 years. If you're an engineering student, you have to do a senior research project prior to graduation. So you will be doing that. If you are in the sciences or other STEM fields, many students are going to be working in the labs with professors on the research, and then maybe springboarding that into their own senior research project that they'll be working on in that last year. Like many of the other institutions you've heard about today, 85% of our students will participate in at least one internship during their 4 years. Like high school is preparing students for college, we know we need to preparing you for life after college. So that exposure to different careers and different companies and corporations is certainly vital. 97% of our students within 6 months of graduation have a plan for the coming years, going on to jobs, going on to graduate schools, things like that. And 60% of our students study abroad, and this includes 60% of our students in the engineering and in the sciences. We're thrilled to have students back abroad this term after being dormant last year. And the last thing that I want to mention is just a little about the inclusion on campus. Union is the type of school where you can be involved with all sorts of things. We have 130 clubs and organizations, some certainly focused on the STEM fields. We have varsity sports, we have club sports, we have theater, we have music, we have community service. So lots of ways to get involved, and the majority of our students are staying in college housing all 4 years. Can I go to the next slide, please? I just want to end up by highlighting Jenny, who is a recent graduate of Union, and she kind of highlights all that Union provides to our students. Jenny was a mechanical engineering major. She had minors in both math and German. She was well involved with things going on campus, including swimming on the varsity swim team and president of the German club. She did a number of research projects, including 3D printing in metal, and her senior thesis was working in the energy lab with waste heat energy generators. He studied abroad twice in Germany, studying language and culture. And she is now at UCSD in a doctoral program in mechanical engineering. But I think she epitomizes what we see in so many of our students at Union. I'll add some information about various ways to visit and learning more about Union in the chat. And now I'm going to pass it across to my colleague Alex across the capital region in Troy.
Thanks so much, Susie. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex. Like I said before, I'm an assistant director of admissions at RPI. By now, you have heard that there are a lot of commonalities between our campuses and what they have to offer. So I'm excited to share some information specifically about Rensselaer. So Rensselaer, or RPI, is a medium-sized research and STEM institution. We have around 6,200 undergraduate students, 1,600 graduate students. And like Susie said, we are located right across the Hudson River from Albany in Troy, New York. Troy, similar to Schenectady, where Union is located, is a small city as well, about 50,000 people. Our students come from all 50 states and around 20 countries at the undergrad level, 60 countries at the grad level. And our campus is located up on a hill overlooking the city of Troy. So it's a campus unto itself, about a 15-minute walk end to end. Troy is a historical city, birthplace of Uncle Sam. Sometimes we're referred to as the Collar City because we used to be a manufacturing center for shirt collars back in the 1800s. Now, Rensselaer is one of the oldest technological institutions in the country, founded in 1824, so almost near our 200-year anniversary as well. And the intent of this school was to help people learn to apply science to the common purposes of life. Obviously, in the last 200 years, we have evolved and we have modernized, and our focus has broadened a bit. These days, a Rensselaer education is one that acknowledges and harnesses the power of technological growth and change. Our alumni have made strides in a number of relevant areas, and you've most likely interacted with some type of product or idea that originated with an RPI alum, including email, the Ferris wheel, sunscreen, and the digital camera. I also just found out recently that the co-founder of Garmin, the people who make GPSs and also maybe smartwatches, graduated from RPI with his master's. Our admissions process at RPI is holistic. We really look to get a full view of students when they're applying. And I do want to mention that RPI is test optional this year. We are made up of 5 unique schools, all coexisting on that one campus. We have our School of Engineering, and if we could go to the next slide, please, that would be great. We have our School of Engineering, we have our School of Science, we have our School of Management, School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, School of Architecture, making up 5 schools in total. Around 50% of our students are in the School of Engineering, around 30% in the School of Science, and then in the last 3, about 5% each. Students can apply specifically to a major here. They can apply undeclared to one of these schools, or they can apply undeclared to RPI. We have a lot of supports on campus to ensure that you have the opportunity to dig in and figure out what you really want to do. Now, because the goal of our education is to facilitate your growth into becoming a creative problem solver, an interdisciplinary approach to our education is crucial. That's why you see all of our schools represented in this Venn diagram, interconnected type of way. There are many ways that interdisciplinary education shows up here. A number of our students will choose concentrations, minors, or dual majors in addition to their standard course load, which is a really great way to take advantage of some of those smaller schools like business or humanities. And also, regardless of a student's major at RPI, all of our students take around 20 to 24 credits in the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. This comes out to be about 6 classes over the course of your 8 semesters at Rensselaer. And for us, it's as close to a core or general education as you're going to get. We don't require any particular courses for this requirement, but rather give you the option to choose from around 40 different pathways that relate to the fields of humanities, arts, and social sciences, but that tie back in to your primary major as well. Ultimately, this focus on the interdisciplinary works to allow our students the ability to zoom out from heavy math, heavy science, and understand that most problems are best solved when we take into account the whole picture and multiple perspectives. This does translate to the real world. Having this focus on technical and non-technical concepts ultimately allows our students to be very versatile people in the job search process and in their industries as well. If we could go to the next slide, please. An off-campus or kind of out of the classroom spotlight that I'd like to acknowledge is the Arch. At Rensselaer, only so much learning can happen from behind a desk, and we really want to make sure that you have the tools, the machines, spaces, faculty, and ultimately industry connections that will take your learning to the next level. Immersive learning is a broad concept. It shows up across our campus, but it really comes to life in things off campus, like co-ops, internships, research, and more. These things are what I would refer to as professional immersion opportunities. They're really integral to the Rensselaer experience. And at RPI, you will typically participate in some type of professional immersion opportunity during a program called the Arch. The way that this process works is that you'll spend a summer on campus between your sophomore and junior year with your entire rising junior cohort, taking about half of your junior year credits, so that by the time you reach your junior year, you've already pre-completed half of it. And you can then take one of those semesters away from our campus to do something like a co-op or an internship, or more broadly, an independent learning experience that is self-directed by you. We connect you early and often with our Center for Career and Professional Development to ensure that you have the opportunity to explore all of the options that are out there. And ultimately, doing this does allow you to still graduate in 4 years and doesn't require you to transfer in any AP or IB or college credits, though we do accept them. Even if you come in with a blank slate, you will still be able to complete one full semester of professional immersion and still graduate in 4 years. The Arch also translates to our students' future plans. About 85% of our students are pursuing their goals within 6 months of graduation, with about 65% going directly into their industry, the other 20% going into graduate or professional schools. The average starting salary for Rensselaer graduates is right around $71,000, which is very well above the national average. So that's just a very brief overview of RPI. I do want to open up for questions, and I'm looking, I don't think that we have any questions, so do feel free to ask questions in the chat. We're obviously happy to answer those. But I did bring up one thing in speaking about RPI that I would love to just double check from my colleagues. So I did say that RPI is test optional this year, and I wanted to check in with all of our other schools to see where we're at with that at these other schools. Are we all test optional this year as well? Nods and thumbs up. Right. All right, cool. Just making sure. I was about to say it, but I was like, I don't want to assume. So that means that, you know, it is your choice if you submit test scores at all of our schools. If you feel they're representative of you and you want them to be evaluated, send them in. We will take a look at them, or you can completely omit them and we won't take a look at them. Totally up to you. Thanks for clarifying that, everyone. I do also thank you, Jonathan, for changing that. I do want to leave you all. We've put our contact info in the chat. I'm about to see. But I do want to make sure that you have all of that. And panelists, are there any other thoughts that you wanted to share before we close out this session?
Yeah,
I would just like to add that it's important to note that I think all of our schools have both in-person and virtual opportunities to learn more. Obviously, 6 or 7 minutes is not a lot of time for us to describe all the different things that you can do at our schools. And so please, you know, check our websites. We love to have visitors. We'd love to have questions. We love for you to participate in whatever you would like to do. So just want to make that plug. Continue to learn.
Thanks, Susie. Mark, did you have something, or were you going to say the same?
I was going to say the same thing, and I would just add to that. You know, this is ultimately your process, and so it's really all about you and finding that match for you. And I would just encourage at some stage in the process, whether it's this fall or when you're weighing your options in the spring, to try to make connections with academic departments and really make sure that the program that you're selecting is going to meet not only your academic needs, but also help catapult you towards your professional aspirations as well.
Great. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. And thank you, students. And I think I saw a parent in here as well. Thank you for whomever joined us tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time this evening or this afternoon, wherever you're coming from. I know that the college search process can be really intense. So hopefully we have given you some good jumping off points or some good things to think about. So thank you all again so much. And we hope that you have a great night or afternoon.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. When you log off and you close your window, you'll get a very quick 5-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you can give us. Remember to sign up for more sessions at strivescan.com, and a recording of this and other sessions will be available at strivescan.com/cache. And I also put that in the chat. Thank you and have a great night.